All right, I did the Fin and Fire podcast with Jeff Mishler. He's of Skagit Master fame. He's the guy behind it. He's the man. I think he was the videographer, and he is the guy. And he did an excellent job of interviewing me. I sputtered through it, and I was using too many sound effects and going like this, and it wasn't real great. But he is a pro. Thank God for that. But I made a few statements on there that I wanted to clear up. And one of the things that I said was how important it was just to get the basics of the cast right. And talking about, there's so many little intricate nuances, such as how we hold our hands and, poking our, going through all these little teeny bitty itty nuances, and how we often talked about how important it is to keep your hands a certain way and hold your wrists a certain way and your arms a certain way and your stance a certain way and your grip a certain way, and poke our little finger out here and do all this weird fancy stuff. The point I want to make is I think we emphasize that kind of stuff too much, and maybe I've been guilty of that in the past. And it's not that we don't want to do certain things a certain way. And Ed Ward did a Skagit casting video, one of the latest, within the last year about, and he talked about, certain way he sets the anchor, pokes a hole in the sky, rotates his wrist, and then supinates his wrist and out and around. Talked about going out and around and getting the rod vertical, and he felt like it was almost like gonna hit his head. He felt like he was canting it towards himself to get the super tight loop. Okay, those all are important things. I'm not saying those aren't important things, or how you push out your bottom hand in a cast. To me, those are all important things, and I'm not saying that they're not important, but what I see the problem being is the wrong people are concentrating on stuff that really doesn't matter until you get to a certain point. Instead of concentrating on all this critical technical stuff, some people who have way bigger problems than if their hands are perfect, or if their form is perfect, or if their technique is just so, when they have way bigger problems. And so that's why it's best to major on the majors and minor on the minors, and not try to make everything so critical, when the most important thing is to get your anchor placement correct, tension in the cast, get all the slack out of the cast, be smooth during the cast. You can have a great hand position and hand movement, but if you sweep around perfectly and then you drift all funky and slam it, it's going to screw your cast up. So the important thing to do is get that anchor right and be smooth throughout the cast, and cast the thing, and worry about all that little stuff like hand placement. And if you're gonna really supinate your wrist, or if you're gonna stir the pot, the important thing is to be smooth, keep tension in the cast, have a good lift, and the transitions between your parts of the cast be smooth. So we lift smooth, we sweep smooth, we keep our angle into the forward cast with a smooth forward cast, combination of top and bottom hand, and get that, just the basic foundations grooved into your brain. And when you get handy enough with the rod, then you can worry about the finer parts. I don't know if that makes sense or not. So like this, with this outfit, I have my Red Band Customs 12-foot 5-weight, and it's just a lovely mellow rod. I have a Scandi line on it, and this rod is not what I would call necessarily an underhand style rod. So if I'm going to use, my tight underhand casting stroke, it's not going to work that great, because I like a little bit stiffer rod for that, or at least one that doesn't bend so much. But this guy is so mellow and feely that it works best to slow it down and be smooth and get that cast right, and not worry about sticking to any one single style to get it out. So if I was going to do underhand with this, I could still do it. I could still cast like that. It'll still go out, but what works better with this rod to lengthen each part of the stroke. So I'm gonna lift, smooth, sweep, smooth, extend the stroke so it's not just a little stroke right in here. I'm gonna lift and fall down. Good night. So basically you can see in the rest of these casts that it's not really the style that's important. It's the fact that I'm trying to keep everything tight, and I have really good anchor placement. The anchor lands flat, towards the target, straight. For the most part, I'm anchoring just the leader. I want the anchor nice and light so it comes clean off the water. The cleaner and lighter and straighter the line comes off the water, the better the turnover. And I try to apply power smoothly as much as possible so the rod can do its work, and I'm not over bending it, as it's a very mellow, soulful rod. As I relax and learn to perfect the smooth application of power, I find that my casting becomes effortless. If I hurry the rod and punch the forward cast, I get ugly loops, plain and simple.